What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Travel Adventures with Eric B. My name's Eric B. And today we're going to swamp. We're in Henderson, Louisiana. We're going through the swamp and we're gonna see some gators at the Atchafalaya Basin. Let's go. It's gator time.
Basin is the nation's largest natural river swamp. About at 800,000 acres, stretches 170 miles long, about 23 miles wide at its widest point. It all starts up above Simpsport, Louisiana. There's several rivers that come together and feed water into here. We get water from the Red River, the Black, the Tensas, the Washita, and about a third of the volume of the Mississippi River comes through here. We're actually considered to be part of the Mississippi floodway. The lower part of the basin is what y'all are seeing today. It's a series of swamps and bayous on both sides of the river. It goes all the way into the Gulf of Mexico below Martin City, Louisiana. On a normal year, water in here fluctuates 10 to 15 feet. You can see the mark about 10 feet off of the water on some of the trees. That's where we were about 12 weeks ago. Water's been steady falling. We're in about a foot or less of water right now. We're actually sitting on the bottom right now. And in another couple of weeks, this wooded area will be dry. There won't be any water left.
Oh, they drain it down? They drain it down?
Well, it's not at our normal pool yet, but they're gonna bring it down lower than normal. So
well, they open us floodgate or something?
Yeah, south of here. Yeah.
So do you go a different way?
Termite damage, and it was the lumber of choice for shipbuilding, boat building, home building, and as the population grew, the demand grew, and they just kept cutting until there weren't any trees left. They cut just about everything in here. Native to this country, this stuff blanketing the water is giant salvania. Showed up here just a few years ago. Very invasive plant. Supposedly got here in the bilge of ships coming into our ports from Brazil. And when they pumped their ballast water out, this stuff was in there, and it's spreading across the country right now. Really bad stuff. I ate. I know they fish. They only speak French.
They French.
Alors puis ça vient. Alors?
Know where he's going. You want to get over?
You got stuff on there.
Yeah, not in general. Hang off the edge last time. That one that was on.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, look at this thing. That's that one. Ooh. That's right, not an alligator.
I ain't have legs.
Ooh. So he's crazy.
Is it because of
You're going to extend it a month this year. It's going to be September and October.
Oh, really? Why
Yeah,
that?
some they don't want to buy the hides no more. They don't
Oh,
want to
yeah.
buy the gators no more.
Yeah, but not making money on them no more.
Last year they offered them $5 a foot. Most of them turned it. They destroyed the fisherman's nets. So the fisherman seeing an alligator, he would shoot him just to keep him from destroying his nets. And they almost wiped them out. There were very few of them left. When we were kids, if we saw an alligator, we would track them down to where they live and try to find the nest, put them on the endangered species list, and we weren't allowed to fool with them anymore. And about that same time, the Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries built the first alligator farm and bring the eggs from the nest. They bring them in, they hatch them, and they're required to raise them till they're at least 4 feet in length, then release a certain percentage of them back into the area where those eggs were harvested. When the program first started, they had to release 50% of them, which was way higher than their natural survival rate. And with the high release rate is how the alligator came back so fast, was through the farm program.
Huh.
April and May is typically the mating season, is when the waters get warm enough. And then usually by late June, the nests are built and the eggs are laid, and then 60 to 65 days later they hatch, which is usually the end of August, early September. And then they'll lay 40 to 50 eggs in a clutch, and about 90% of those will hatch, but the following spring there'll only be 10 or 12 of the most left out of that.
Well, they just get beaten.
Yeah, they got a lot of predators now, more so as other alligators, because they're running out of food. There's so many gators now. All the turtles, snakes, frogs, nutria, beaver. We don't. It's 4 years I haven't seen a nutria, and they used to be everywhere.
Yeah, like $5 a tail. They used to keep the tail off on the side of the road.
Yeah, they still got a lot of them along the coast, but here I haven't seen one in 4 years. Beaver either. Beaver this time of year, where you don't even see it cutting on a tree anymore.
Wow.
I know it. Yeah.
You see it?
No,
You like
I
it?
chose
You're
it.
in heaven, aren't you? I want to touch it. Don't want to touch
You want me
it.
to hold your phone while you get in the water?
Oh no. No.
She loves
Oh, he's
animals.
smiling.
She's my animal girl.
He's like, yeah, I get in the water.
I like critters
just
of
want
any
water.
kind.
French-speaking descendants of the original Acadians came here from Acadie, which was a French colony in the Nova Scotia, New Brunswick area. They were exiled from there by the British in the mid-1700s, and a lot of them came here to South Louisiana at a time when the Spanish had control of this territory. The Spanish had actually sent word that they were welcome to give them land if they came and settle here. Of course, the Spanish were trying to build a force against the British in the event the British would try to colonize this area. Couldn't get any more Spaniards to move out into their swampland, so they recruited the French. And long story short, the British never came, the Spanish left, and the Cajuns stayed. A lot of them in this area lived in these backwaters on floating houses that they built on cypress logs. Many of them were fur trappers and fur traders. The abundance of fur animals attracted them, but as time went on, most of them made their living in here cutting the cypress trees. The timber harvest in here was all done by hand with hand saws and axes, and the process was pretty rigorous. Typically, two men would paddle a pirogue from tree to tree. One guy would climb the tree to where the branches started with a handsaw and cut the top off, while the other guy was cutting notches on each side of the tree just above the water line. In those notches, they would insert a cypress board, drive a wedge to hold it, then they'd climb out the pirogue and stand on the very end of that board. And it gave them room to push and pull the passe-partout, the big two-handed crosscut saw, back and forth. Once they downed all the trees in an area, they would raft the logs and wait for the spring rise. Before the levees were built, the Atchafalaya River was the deepest and swiftest river in the world. And the currents used to come through here with massive velocity, and they used the currents to move the logs into the river and then down to the sawmills. The living conditions for those people back here were really hard too. The winters in here get pretty wet and cold. The summers is hot and humid, but the nights in here are filled with mosquitoes. They'll literally eat you alive in here at night. The only thing they had back then to repel mosquitoes was alligator oil, which they learned from the local Indians in the area. They would kill a large alligator, melt the fat down into an oil, and then rub that all over them to keep the mosquitoes out. Kept everybody away.
Yeah, I bet.
They gave them credit for inventing the two-bedroom house. Atchafalaya is actually a Choctaw Indian word. It means long, swift river. Hello, Julie. It means long, swift river, but did y'all know vegetarian was the Indian word? Yeah, it means bad hunter.
Is there a lot of like cats and stuff back up in here?
Yeah.
And I thought, I want to move down there. And now that I've come and visited over the last few years, I'm like, I'm ready to move down there.
I gained 40
love
something.
it.
We live good, we eat good, we just don't live long.
I'm trying to figure out where he's at in relation to that.
Hey.
Where's
that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button so we can continue to do more great material like this and help us to grow as a travel community. As always, remember, live today, grow today, tomorrow's never guaranteed. Peace.